The main character is amidst a fight. He thinks of the past when he wanted to give up everything because of the struggle, but now he has figured out how he can correct everything as we see him flanked and backed up by everyone. He says that if anyone ever calls him wrong, he will just say that he did it to survive. Then the scene moves into a school where we see a boy sitting down. The boy says that he plans to end himself soon. However, before he does so, he wants to write down about his damned school life. We see a bunch of kids singing happy birthday to the boy while stomping him down. They beat him, Yim Da-jun, down hard and made him eat up dirty cake from the ground. They humiliate him and take a picture with him while doing so. Da-jun writes this down in his note. We then see more scenes from that day, as the bully Doyen and his buddies bully Da-jun some more and tell him to bring another cake tomorrow to celebrate his next year's birthday in advance. The class bell rings and Doyen and his friends leave quickly to catch the class and not get chewed up by the teacher. Meanwhile, Da-jun slowly crawls his way back up and slowly makes his way back to the class, where he is scolded by his teacher for being late. We see students around Da-jun make fun of his situation as they speculate correctly about him getting bullied again. One student also says that Da-jun should end his life instead of bearing with this and have a good laugh about it. Da-jun writes it all down and says that he would get first place for writing a final will if this was a competition. He then speculates how doing this will mess up Doyen's life forever. He says that despite the fact that he won't be able to see it with his own two eyes, he is still happy from the thought of being able to mess up Doyen's life. He thinks how his family would react to him taking his own life. He thinks that his brother, a study addict, will still be studying with flashcards at his funeral. His sister will still be on her phone, and his parents won't really care much about him because he isn't really good at anything. However, he thinks that he should still inform his family and say his final goodbye. During the family dinner, Da-jun asks his sister where their mom is. She says that she isn't home yet. Da-jun, however, goes forward with his decision to say his final goodbye. He tells his dad that he is sorry for being a nuisance to them, but his dad doesn't want to hear it and tells him to move out of the way as he was blocking the TV. Da-jun is shocked, but he focuses on the TV. On the TV, we see a case of a high school student taking the lives of his bullies. Da-jun is immediately tuned into the news as we see that the kid was severely bullied at school. We then see the kid getting interviewed by the media where he is seen to be very proud of what he did to his bullies. He names them all and says that they are all monsters who humiliated him and made fun of his family. He says that he doesn't care one bit about what people say and that he did it because he had to survive. He further goes on to encourage fellow victims to step up and do the exact same thing as him. Da-jun's father thinks the kid is crazy for doing so, and despite the gullies making fun of him, he doesn't have any right to end them at all. However, Da-jun is fully consumed by the speech and is inspired by it. Later on, we see Da-jun in his bedroom, saying that he shouldn't end himself, he did nothing wrong. Instead, he should end Doyen and his friends for bullying him so much. He brings out a screwdriver and starts stabbing his pillow to practice what he wants to do to Doyen. The next day at school, Da-jun has brought the screwdriver along. However, he can't muster up the courage to go ahead with it. He says to himself that despite practicing, he lacks what he needs to do it. He says that he won't do it unless Doyen bullies him again, and just at that moment, Doyen comes to the scene and holds him by the back of the neck. He asks Da-jun if he has brought the cake along with him. Da-jun grabs a hold of his screwdriver and thinks of doing what he planned. Doyen keeps on pushing his buttons and asks whether he brought the cake to celebrate the birthday and gets more and more mad as Da-jun doesn't answer. Da-jun finally tries to go for it, but when he looks at Doyen, his body freezes up and he is scared. Da-jun says that he has a conditional fear of Doyen, and he is scared whenever he sees Doyen's face. He is so scared that instead of attacking with the screwdriver, he tries his best to hide it as we see Doyen punching him in the classroom. He then says that the party isn't over for Da-jun, and he wants Da-jun to see him after school. After school, Da-jun goes to the backyard with Doyen and his friends. Doyen says that they've bought tons of stuff to celebrate Da-jun's birthday. The stuff he bought includes liquor, and Da-jun tells Doyen that he can't drink it. Doyen then tells that he must consume or it will be Da-jun's last day. They then make a disgusting cocktail of liquor, dirty socks, dirt, spit, and other stuff and ask Da-jun to drink it. Da-jun refuses and gets beaten up badly for it. With no option left, Da-jun gulps it down. However, being unable to hold it in, he vomits. They make fun of him and Doyen says that he must gulp it down fully before they stop. And so they keep on making the cocktail and have him drink it, however, he keeps vomiting. At one point, they run out of liquor, so Doyen tells his lackeys to go ahead and buy it again, as he won't let Dajun go until he drinks it all. As they go, Doyen tries to pour alcohol onto Dajun's face, unable to take it anymore and on the verge of it all ending. Dajun pushes away Doyen, breaking the bottle of alcohol and making a run for it. He doesn't know why he is running, but he still goes for it. However, Doyen soon catches up and beats up Dajun again. He delivers several punches to his face and grabs Dajun's hair and drags him back. As he is being dragged back, Dajun finally decides to do something. As he can't attack Doyen because he is afraid of his face, he can surely do something when he is facing Doyen's back. And so at the right moment, Dajun pushes Doyen away. Doyen is angry, however. Before he can do something, a car runs over Doyen. As everyone surrounds Doyen and people try to make sense of what happened, Dajun makes a run for his life, afraid of getting caught. Later, we see Dajun, all crumbled up on his bed, being scared about what he has supposedly done. He can't digest the fact that his push might have just ended Lee Doyen. He is all tensed up and scared that this is the end of his normal life. The next day, we see a very scared Dajun go to school. He is scared on just what the reaction will be if people know about what transpired between him and Doyen, if they're gonna attack him or not. As he enters the classroom, he is afraid that the police is behind the door, waiting to capture him for his crime, but to his surprise, it was business as usual. Nothing had changed except for the fact that the seat that was once occupied by Lee Doyen is empty now. Right after, we see a teacher walking in and announcing to everyone about the accident of Lee Doyen. He says that the accident has caused Lee Doyen to go into a comatose state, and that the accident was because of Lee Doyen walking on the road carelessly without thinking of the ongoing traffic. He says that everyone who wants to visit Doyen should do so at the hospital. Everyone is talking about it, whereas Dajun is conflicted and paranoid. He can't believe that he has supposedly gotten away with what he has done. His moral conscience is telling him to hand himself over to the police for trying to end the life of Lee Doyen, but he wants to spend a few days normally before doing so. The day at school goes by normally, class as usual, having lunch at lunchtime and reading novels at break time between classes. It was as if he was back to middle school again, where he used to do the same but couldn't do so in high school because of Lee Doyen's constant bullying of him and berating of his family. Dajun tears up thinking how he was not allowed to live a normal life as a high schooler because of Doyen. A few of his classmates come and playfully accuse Dajun of being the one who pushed off Doyen into the truck's path. They say so because they've seen Dajun leaving with Doyen's group that day. However, one of them refutes the theory, simply citing that someone as cowardly as Dajun can never do something like that in any way. Dajun feels kind of relieved and thinks that being a coward potentially saved him from a solid accusation. He is still being eaten up from the inside for what he had done, but seeing how those kids, who would usually bully him, are now ignoring him, and how most kids who were also bullied are living a normal day, makes him think maybe it wasn't such a bad thing to push him off. However, we then see a police car arrive to the school grounds. Everyone is scared or is pretending to be scared in a comedic way because they know that they must have come to arrest someone for what went down with Doyen. Dajun is scared and his worst nightmares come to fruition when someone says that the principal has called him to the school office. There at the office, he is immediately put in handcuffs as the police say that he is under arrest for attempting to end the life of Lee Doyen. The teachers ask how and why is it going down this way, as the police had told them that Doyen's accident was caused by him jaywalking, but the police tell them that it was because they hadn't seen Dajun in the truck's black box, and after inspecting a local CCTV camera's footage, they found out that Dajun was the one who pushed Doyen into harm's way. The teachers are devastated and they ask Dajun just why had he done what he had done. Why couldn't he continue to be a normal kid? Dajun has no answers for this as he is devastated himself. He thinks that after all, there is a God and he has to pay for what he did. Someone like him can never be happy. We then get to know that Dajun was put into 2 years of probation instead of being sent into a juvenile correction center. Him being bullied, having written a note which indicated that he was going to end himself, and the fact that he was under the influence of alcohol, all contributed to him getting off rather easily. However, he is now ostracized and can't live a normal life. His connection with his family sucks and he feels guilty for what he has done. He goes to school and finds out that he has been expelled for doing what he did. As he walks out, He hears his classmates talk about how what he did was wrong, and despite Doyen bullying him, he can't be finishing Doyen off for it. Some even say that Doyen was right in bullying him. This angers Dajuan, as he can't fathom how people who never went through the bullying he did are judging him so nonchalantly. After that, he goes back to the only place he can go back, home. However, upon arriving at his house, Dajuan is immediately told to leave by his father. Heartbroken, Dajuan leaves the house while crying. He is drenched by the rain as he walks the night street, and then he runs into the friends of Doyen, who bullied Dajuan alongside Doyen in the past. The bullies are angered and want to take revenge on Dajuan for what he did to Doyen. They viciously beat down Dajuan, telling him how wrong he was and that despite Doyen being a lowlife, Dajuan has no right to do what he did. One of them gets on top of Dajuan and rains down a barrage of punches on him, leaving him a bloody mess. He tells Dajuan to apologize for what he did. Dajuan, beaten up, can't believe that he is suddenly being told to apologize for what he did after being bullied so much. He can't believe how he is the bad guy all of a sudden for pushing Doyen once when Doyen has repeatedly pushed him off a metaphorical cliff, making his life a mess. Dajuan, unable to control his anger, gets angry and tells everyone that he won't apologize because they had bullied him first. The bully is angered and he keeps beating Dajuan up, asking him how dare he speak in a rebellious way. Unable to take all of this, Dajuan gets angry and picks up a piece of brick laying beside him. He uses the piece of brick and beats up the bully in a very bad way, leaving him laying in a pile of his own blood. Dajuan decides that he won't regret anything he did again, and that he will continue to do so. He will continue to end others to survive himself, but such actions from Dajuan makes no real difference to the perception of him to the other bullies. Instead of being scared, they're mad at him for standing up to them and beating up one of their friends. They tell Dajuan that just because they used umbrellas to beat him up first doesn't mean that they don't have other weapons, and they go on and start attacking Dajuan. The group of people surround Dajuan and then start raining down attacks on Dajuan. They beat him up pretty badly as they outnumber him by a lot and have a wider selection of weaponry. Dajuan is defiant though, trying his best to fight off his bullies by using the brick he had in his hand. He attacks one of them, but his comeback is quickly subdued by the other bullies as they raise the intensity of their attacks. Eventually, their beatdown sends Dajuan down to the ground, where the beating continues. They try to get Dajuan to concede, however. Dajuan is still angry and he won't give up no matter what. As the ruthless beatdown continues, a random homeless-looking man arrives to the scene. He tells everyone to not make such a scene at his home. The bullies make fun of him for calling the construction site his home and say that he should leave without interfering in their business. He said that it is indeed their home and he came back to eat. He also says that the brick in Dajuan's hand is his pillow, but now there's blood on it. The bullies are livid from such nonchalant behavior from the man, so they get mad and threaten him to leave. The man quickly accepts and says he will leave for another one of his homes. The bullies make fun of him for leaving cowardly, and as they try to focus on Dajuan, the homeless-looking man returns. He throws his cup of instant ramen on one of the bullies as a diversion to quickly get into his rhythm and deliver a solid jumping kick to the head. The fight continues as the bullies try to attack him. However, it seems that they're no match for the skills of this random guy who came out of nowhere. He delivers a leg kick to one of the bullies and delivers a solid right-handed punch to another guy. He then follows it up with a knee to the midsection on one of them. Another bully comes and tells the guy to leave his friend, so he kicks the guy he had held and sends him flying back onto his friend. He then attacks that bully by using his fingers to attack his eyes. We then see another bully with a stick trying to attack him for looking down onto them. However, he brings out a supposed weapon wrapped around with a paper and asks him if he still wants to continue. The bully is visibly scared because the weapon looks like a knife. He then makes fun of him for being scared now after they see his weapons, even though they have the numbers and weapons advantage. Then it is revealed that the weapon he had wasn't a knife, but instead chopsticks wrapped around with paper. This shocks the bully. However, he has no time to get back in the zone as the homeless man delivers a hard kick to the jaw. Dajuan is amazed by how a guy like him took down Doyen's crew with such utter ease. He feels satisfied by it. The bullies run away as the man makes fun of them for abandoning the friendship. However, Dajuan stands there and thanks the guy for saving his life. The guy is annoyed by Dajuan's presence. Dajuan asks for the guy to teach him how to fight, but he wants to have none of it. He is instead worried about not having anything to eat. Dajun tells him that he will buy him ramen, so they go to the shop where Dajun feeds him and tells him his story. The guy praises Dajun for standing up and taking care of Lee Doyen. He says that people like Doyen don't understand normally, so they need to be taken care of in such a manner. Dajun takes this chance to ask for his answer to his previous request. He answers it by saying no. Dajun is devastated and promises to buy him more food in the future, but he still won't budge. He tells Dajun that he isn't made for fighting and that he can't hang with the bullies. He tells Dajun that he isn't one for street life and that he should go back home. Dajun is still adamant on learning how to fight as he wants to take proper revenge on his bullies. So Dajun starts stalking the homeless-looking man from the next onwards. He starts following everything he does, step by step. He begins by following his routine of wearing clothes from the trash to get used to street life. He then follows his eating habits, where he brings a pack of rice and uses cat food as his side dish. Dajun tries to do so as well, but he gets caught and gets chased off for stealing cat food. Later on, he sees the man sleeping at a children's playground where all the kids are too afraid to even go near him. Dajun tries that as well, but the kids don't fear him and instead start playing on top of him. Dajun starts losing hope in the guy, but then he sees him fighting a bunch of thugs on the street and regains confidence in him. Despite how he is a very skilled fighter. The guy eventually gets annoyed by Dajun stalking him so obviously and calls him out. He asks Dajun if he is going to keep following him to learn how to fight. Dajun says he will keep following him. Then, to Dajun's surprise, the homeless man agrees to teaching him how to fight, but on one condition. He points to one of the bullies from the Doyen squad nearby and tells Dajun to beat him up. Dajun can't do it. He says that Dajun did well when he used a brick to smash one of the bullies earlier, but what he has been doing isn't called fighting. It's merely him trying to survive, so if he really wants to take revenge, he needs to turn the tables on the bullies. Then we see Dajun being prepared to jump the bully from behind and start fighting him. Dajun says to himself that he was the prey, but from this moment onwards, he is the predator. We then see a flashback of when Dajun and the bully Younghyun was in school. Younghyun apologizes to Dajun, telling him he was sorry for making him strip in front of girls, throwing water onto him, etc., etc. He says he is really sorry for bullying him. Dajun was shocked by this sudden apologetic behavior, but his classmates tell him to accept the apology because it is so sincere. Younghyun offers his hand in apology and asks Dajun to grab it. However, upon grabbing it, Younghyun crushes Dajun's hand with sheer force. Younghyun, being a baseball athlete who is well built, has a grip strength of 84 kilos, which leaves Dajun screaming in agony, and Younghyun made fun of it, saying that he feels like a new man after apologizing and promises to apologize like this to Dajun every day. Back to the current timeline, we see Dajun seething in anger, thinking of those times from the past. He controls his steps and jumps down from above on the unsuspecting Younghyun, who is on a call. Dajun lands a sort of stomp kick variation which sends Younghyun flying. The homeless man is kind of impressed by it, and Dajun is ecstatic because it felt nice and he can't believe how easily he took out his enemy. However, at that very moment, Younghyun punches Dajun very hard and sends him flying back. Younghyun can't believe how someone like Dajun was the one who decided to sneak attack him. He attacks Dajun viciously and asks him if he didn't get enough of a beatdown from the construction site. The homeless man is disappointed by all this. He thought Dajun really had something, but it all turned out to be nothing. Younghyun makes fun of Dajun, says he never hit Dajun with full force and that he only goes all out against athlete, but now he will attack Dajun with his full power. Dajun, however, doesn't give up and uses a bag full of trash to swing and hit Junghyun's face. Younghyun blocked the attack, however. This is Dajun's shot to attack him while his vision is blurred and tries to land a takedown on Younghyun. However, it doesn't work out for Dajun as Younghyun blocks the tackle and attacks him repeatedly. Younghyun pushes Dajun against a wall and tries to hit him, but Dajun tries to poke his eyes out. The homeless man smiles a little, seeing how Dajun is literally copying his fighting style from the construction site. However, he says that Dajun isn't good at using that style, as we see Younghyun crushing Dajun's finger for trying to poke his eyes. Younghyun asks Dajun why he is doing this, why he feels the need to attack them, and if he feels cheated. Dajun says to himself that he indeed feels cheated because they are the ones behind his expelling. He says that if he could, he won't let end each and every one of the bullies. He then thinks of what the homeless man said to him when he said that he can't beat up someone like Jung-hyun. He told him there is a chance because in a street fight there's no tactics. Jung-hyun is one of the people who ruined his life, so there is no need to hold back. He should go all out. Jung-hyun tries to him again but stops after seeing his glare. It pisses Jung-hyun off how he won't stop glaring. Da-joon, taking the advice from the homeless man to his heart, brings out a knife-like object covered in paper and holds it against Jung-hyun's body. Jung-hyun is taken aback. However, he tells Da-joon that he doesn't believe that a loser like Da-joon has the guts to show up with a knife, but when he holds it, he gets scared by the feel of it. Da-joon tells him to hold it hard with his grip strength, just like how he used to hold his hands all the time, and kicks him in the gut. The homeless man says that Da-joon is crazier than he thought he was, but is worried if Da-joon is using a fake knife like he was, but the reaction from Jung-hyun says something else. On the other side, we see Jung-hyun wondering just what had gone wrong for Da-joon to go full out crazy and bring a knife to a fight. He makes a run for it but ends up going the wrong way and is followed by him Da-joon. As Da-joon approaches him with the knife, he is in doubt. Will Da-joon really go for it and end him?